These are a few of the photos I've taken over the past few days, and I want to share with you how I took them. First, we're going to go over some basic DSLR settings, and then we're going to go on location, and I'm going to show you exactly how I took those photos. Before we even turn on the camera, we have to choose our lens. Which lens you use depends on your situation. However, I shot most of my pictures with the 50mm prime. This gave me more to work with in low light situations and allowed for a more shallow depth of field effect than the 20 to 60mm lens. I also used the 70 to 300mm lens for zoom photography. The decision on the lens depends on your style and what you have access to. For this video, I'm using a Lumix S5. However, these steps apply to many cameras. Check your owner's manual for any menu differences. Before we turn on the camera, make sure you have a charged battery and an SD card inserted, because next we are going to format the SD card. This will get rid of all data on your SD card. Make sure you have saved everything you need from the card before proceeding. This is to make sure it is in a format your camera can understand and to get rid of old photos. On the S5, click the menu key, navigate to the wrench icon with the menu wheel, click the menu key again, navigate to the top of the menu and select, make sure format card is highlighted, select the menu button again, and then highlight which card slot your card is in. And then finally, click the menu button, then click. Next, we are going to change our photo format. Personally, I like to export in JPEG and RAW in case I either want to edit the photos or just throw them up on the internet. First, make sure you are in photo mode. If you are not sure, then just turn the selection wheel to M on the top of the camera. Then go back into the settings menu and go to the top and click on the red camera. RAW is the uncompressed file you'd use in Adobe Lightroom or other photo editing software. Fine and STD are JPEGs, and Fine is said to be higher quality than STD or standard. JPEGs is what you would use to upload to Instagram or other social media sites. For this, I chose RAW plus Fine in case I didn't want to go in and edit the photos. I just wanted to throw it up on the internet. And then underneath it is where you can choose your photo size. I picked large. Another setting that is important is your aperture. This is how wide your iris is open. This allows for more or less light to hit the sensor. The wider it is, the more light it lets through. It is measured in f-stops. The lower your f-stop, the wider your iris is open. You want to close your iris if it was a sunny day, for example. The next setting we're going to go over is shutter speed. This is how long your camera iris is open. It is usually measured in 1 over your shutter speed seconds. For example, if your shutter speed was 60, then your shutter would be open for 1/60th of a second. If you see the inch symbol or 2 apostrophes, that means it is in a whole second. So that means if your shutter speed was 4 with 2 apostrophes at the end, that would be a 4-second shutter. A lower shutter speed captures more blur from things in motion, but it also captures more light. A higher shutter speed would be something you would increase for nighttime photography or for more blur for moving subjects for stylistic reasons. You can see a higher shutter speed in nighttime photography where stars leave a streak across the sky. The final setting in terms of lighting we'll go over today is ISO. ISO is how sensitive your camera is to light. The more ISO, the more details and dark photos will come out. However, the more ISO, the more noise and grain that is introduced to the photo. So you want to use as low as an ISO as possible. Next is white balance, which is adjusting the color to where it looks like it fits the scene. Whites look different in different lighting environments, so you have to change your white balance accordingly. You do this by clicking the white balance on top of your camera. You can select auto white balance for the camera to choose for you. Then you can choose presets for cloudy, sunny, etc. Finally, you can set your own. You do this by holding a white card or a piece of paper in front of the camera and hitting white set capture. For photos, I usually set it to auto or the presets. While not best practice, it is easier when you're just trying to get the shot. I also feel as though the camera usually gets the white balance right. You have the choice between auto and manual focus. If you're taking photos of yourself by yourself, you probably want to stick with auto, although I have done manual that turned out good as well. First, make sure the switch on your lens is in the correct position. AF for autofocus, MF for manual focus. Next, above the screen, there's a small selector switch. Select MF for manual and C for moving objects. Finally, S for still objects. Now, if you click the button in the center, you can select what you want to focus on. Navigate using the menu ring to your desired options. I usually use face detect. Finally, I would recommend the Lumix Sync app and setting it up for auto shutter. The app will walk you through setup. Let's move on to taking some photos. Next, I'm going to show you how I achieve this half red, half blue lighting effect for one of the photos I've taken. It's actually really simple. Let's jump right into it. The first thing is to place the tripod and camera. For me, since it's in my bedroom, it's right behind my desk, and I have two monitors with the light shining onto me. And once you place it, we're going to move on to setting up our lights. Next, set up our lighting. I'm going to pull up the color to put on both my monitors. So for the first one, which is my left monitor, I'm going to do a pink color. I'm going to go into our images and just find a pink. I think this will look pretty good. So I'm just going to open this in a new tab. And we're going to zoom in and make this full screen. And then for the second one, I'm going to do this, except it's for blue. So I'm going to type in blue color. I'm going to go into our images, and I think I want something with a bigger resolution. That's a bit too dark, so we're going to go to this one, I think. Open a new tab, and we're just going to zoom in until it fills up the screen. Zoom in some more, and then go full screen again. And that's how I set up my monitors to get the right light. Now we need to angle our monitors so the light bounces correctly onto your face. And as you can see, pink takes up more than half and you can barely see the blue. This is because one of my monitors is more brighter than the other, so we have to correct for brightness. And we also want to angle these monitors correctly, so I can angle my laptop to where I have blue going up and down my face. I want to do this so only pink is on the left side of my face. And as you can see, it's already better, but you can make more adjustments in brightness settings as you go along to get that perfect mix of color across your face. For this photo, I used the Lumix Sync app so I could control the camera from my phone without actually being near the camera and having to step out of frame. So I captured some footage from my phone, and I'll walk you through exactly what I did. So first, I go in and change my f-stops to where my lens is completely open, or as open as this lens will allow it to be. So that's an f-stop of 1.8. And then I go into my ISO, because right now it's overblown. So I changed it to around 1000 in the end. And now you can always go in afterwards and edit your photo in editing software. So if the photo didn't turn out how you expected it to be, you can always change, like darken the background or add more exposure to your face. And then I go in and take the photo using the white button at the bottom. And the photos actually turned out pretty great, and then you just grab the photos off your SD card and you're done. Now let's go move on to our next photo. I'm at Red Sunset Park, and I'm going to show you how I took this picture. First, I'm going to go over what lenses I used, and then I'm going to go over tripod placement. Then we're going to go over some camera settings, and then finally, we're going to take the picture. Let's get started. For this photo, I'm using the 70 to 300 millimeter lens to get over to the bridge right there. And I have the tripod placed in a peculiar way. Let me show you. You can see the camera is mounted sideways. And the reason why it's mounted sideways is because the barrel of this lens is too wide to where it interferes with this like little rubber plating thing on the plate. So you have to mount it sideways so it's not getting stuck on that plate. But otherwise, this is a normal tripod placement, and of course just have it facing the bridge. For this, I'm actually going to use manual focus, so make sure you have your camera set to manual focus. And then, as you can see, you're going to want to make sure where the bridge is properly exposed. But now we're going to zoom all the way into the part of the bridge, take the photo on, and from here I'm going to reposition my tripod head so I can see above that banister. And then from here I'm going to sharpen up the railings. And this is the part where we get to take the photo. So on the Lumix S5, we can change this to the timer option, which is the very last option there. And then from the settings, we can change what time it's at once you put it into manual photo mode. And right here where we have 10 seconds to run over there and take the picture. You may be asking why I'm not using the Lumix Sync app, and the reason for me not using the Lumix Sync app is because it can be kind of finicky outdoors. If my phone's not connected to Wi-Fi, it'll have a tendency to just cut off in the middle, so that's why we're using the self-timer mode. Alright, I'm going to press the button, and now we just run to the railing because we have 10 seconds. And here's the result. And then this is where you would crop in and add filters and stuff. So it's pretty simple how I just took this photo. Set up the camera, run a position, and take the picture.